Chief Warrant Officer 2, William A. Lurvey, United States Army, Vietnam. Folks, I had the most wonderful pleasure and opportunity today here where I live, interviewing Bill Lurvey. April 25th, today, 2025, at his home here in Colorado. Bill was born in Grand Junction, Colorado, still lives here, 79 years old today. By the way, folks, the Vietnam vets of today are the same age as the World War II vets were when I started my work in Arizona 22 years ago, and most of them are gone, so it's urgent that we record their stories today. And Bill's a great man. He was drafted into the military, graduated from high school in 1964. In November of 64, he was drafted and reported in January of 65. Served 5 years in Vietnam, was medically retired in November of 1969. We'll talk about that in a minute. But Bill started with ASA, a security agency in Vietnam, and ended up as a warrant officer, a helicopter pilot in Vietnam. How does he do that? Well, he'll tell you about it. But I love these guys. My Vietnam film, by the way, features the Air Mobile Division. So I've interviewed many crews on Hueys, pilots, commanders, warrant officers, and it's been a great experience for me. So I was really excited to interview Bill. He went to Vietnam. He served in 66 and 67, the first tour, a whole year, and then went back in April of 69, where, folks, he was wounded severely. He was shot by an AK-47 round right through the head, through his helmet. He's going to show you the helmet right out the other side, the exit wound, the exit out of his helmet, out of his head. And the whole crew was shot up, and he landed, the helicopter landed, and they all survived, but Bill was seriously wounded. It's affected him. He's a disabled veteran, and it affected his left side, and Bill will tell you the story. So he served with Company A, 501st Aviation Battalion, 71st Assault Helicopter Company, which was part of the 145th Aviation Combat Battalion, folks. And they called them the Rattlers and the Firebirds. Now, the Rattlers were the Slicks, the Huey Slicks, and the Firebirds were the Huey gunships. And the Rattlers were the UH-1D and H model Hueys. And they carried troops, supplies, ammunition, did medevacs, combat assaults, picked up the wounded and the dead and took them to graves registration. The Firebirds were the gunships. They were the Huey UH-1 BC and M class helicopters, so model helicopters. So I'll give you a little history there. But used in Vietnam extensively, the workhorse of Vietnam. And I just so admire Bill. He went in, like I said, in security, and ended up in aviation, flying Hueys, went to Fort Walters, Texas for his training, and Fort Rucker, Alabama. Hopefully I have some pictures of this after this introduction for you. And then went off to Vietnam, folks. And anyways, his wife, Margot, and his son, Brian, who is with the Grand Junction Fire Department, administrative chief, they contacted me over a year ago. We sat down and talked, and it took a year, but we got Bill's interview today, almost a 2-hour interview. We went outside, we saw some of the sights around his home. You're going to see it, and he showed me a lot of his awards. Received, of course, a Purple Heart for his wounds, folks, was medically retired, has 27 air medals. Now, imagine that, 27, and a Distinguished Flying Cross, and just one of my heroes. Bill, you're one of my heroes, unsung hero. I want to thank Gordon Jackson. Gordon came to me several weeks ago, and he wanted to sponsor a Vietnam aviation story. Gordon, thank you for making it possible for me to share Bill's story today. Thank you for coming forth and supporting our veterans and patriotism in our country. I appreciate you, Gordon. I hope we can work together again sometime, and I hope you really enjoy Bill's story. So thank you. God bless you, Gordon. I appreciate you so much. What haven't I said about Bill Lurvey? He's one of many, like I said, pilots I've interviewed in Vietnam. I just love the Huey helicopters. I was just as fascinated by them taking troops into combat as I was the LCV Higgins boats in World War II that Andrew Jackson Higgins manufactured for the government. So just that mindset of going into combat, going into battle on a landing craft or in a Huey helicopter, jumping out of a helicopter into a hot landing zone. So Bill describes all of that in this interview. It's just a wonderful interview. It warms my heart, folks. And if you're a Vietnam veteran, I invite you to get a hold of me. We need to record your story, like I said. It's urgent, because in 20 years, who's going to tell your stories? I believe this was good for Bill today to talk, and the healing that comes when these veterans have talked to me about their experiences. So But God bless you, Bill Lurvey. Let's sit back. Let's honor him right now with this interview, folks. And I'm just so grateful I had this opportunity today. And share this video, subscribe to this channel. Alvin, we need to get the 100,000 subscribers by the end of the year, so we got to work at this. Share these stories with others and get them in the hands of our kids. Folks, our kids, our children need to learn the history. It's not being taught in schools. About World War II, the Korean War, the Forgotten War, and Vietnam, and even Iraq and Afghanistan. People are forgetting. So, okay, Bill, thank you again. Oh, let's honor him now, folks, and I would love to hear from you. God bless you. Thank you for watching and listening. Well, we're rolling. Bill, it's good to be here today in your home.
Well, I've never done an interview.
Well, I think you're going to enjoy what we're going to do today. So, I'm obviously here to talk about Vietnam, and I told you I've been doing this for 22 years, and it's been an incredible journey. Going back and talking to the people who served our country over the years.
Yeah.
I've done about 1,000 interviews. I've been in Canada too, but I'm just happy to be here with you today. And let's just start off by telling me how old you are today.
79.
You're 79, okay. And I told you when I came in that you guys are the same age now that the World War II veterans were when I started my work 22 years ago. They were in their late 70s, early 80s. And I'm finding the Vietnam vets are there. They're at the same age. So, so I think it's important that we're here today talking about this. But tell me, oh my gosh, I just saw that picture up there. Wow. That looks like a Joe Klein.
It is.
Yeah.
Very nice guy.
You met him?
Oh, yeah.
Was he in your unit?
No. I met him at one of the Vietnam reunions.
He's pretty well known.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Yeah, good photo. I think I might have that one, but...
Oh, well, not that one.
No? That's original?
That he did for me.
Okay, then I don't have that one. Wow, I'll get a picture of that later. That's so cool. But what piqued your interest in flying? Because did you...
Well,
go ahead.
When I was growing up, my father had a friend in Palisade, grew up there. He was a pilot in World War II, Korea, flying jets. And my mom and his wife were friends. And anyway, I got to watch him come into Grand Junction in them jets. It just was always interesting. When I got out of high school, I wanted to go into being a tower, FAA tower person and parents couldn't afford it, and I couldn't afford it, so I was goofing off, and Uncle Sam caught up with me. So
what year were you drafted?
In November '65. Well, November of 65 is when I got the letter from my Uncle Sam, and I didn't even know I had an uncle that name. So,
65.
no, 64.
64.
64.
Well, Vietnam wasn't hardly even going by then.
No. And so I got my notice and said that I was A1. And so in January of 65 is when I went and joined the Army.
You were drafted in, where did you report to?
I went to Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri.
But at that time, what was your MOS? What did you go in to be?
Army Security Agency.
How did you go from there to becoming a pilot?
Well, when I was in Fort Devens, Massachusetts, going to AI school, or advanced schooling, what they call it AI, Advanced Infantry School, but it really wasn't infantry. There's some warrant officer who I didn't know what a warrant officer was, landed a helicopter at Fort Devens, and I was going to school from midnight to 8 o'clock in the morning, and he landed during the day when I was off, and I interrupted him and started talking to him, and he gave me all the paperwork necessary. I put it all in. He came back about 2 months later and gave me a check ride, I guess you'd call it. He tried to make me sick in the helicopter, and he couldn't, so that's how I came. So, and then I was got shipped to California, and when I was in California, the major out there gave me 2 sets of orders. I could take my choice, either go to NCO school or go to helicopter school. So that's how it happened.
Tell me where you did your training.
I did my training in Fort Walters, Texas. I met 2 friends while I was, well, I met a lot of friends, but 2 of them, we decided to take the 30-day extension and report to Fort Rucker 30 days later. And we took his car and drove up to Colorado and then up into Wisconsin and then down to Alabama. So, and then we went from Fort Rucker. From Fort Rucker, I went to Vietnam.
What year was that?
Well, I got out in October of 66, and then I went over in November of 66.
Okay. So how was it a 1-year tour that you were going to go over for?
Yes.
So you were in Vietnam in 1966.
Right.
Okay. So the helicopter had just been introduced about 65, right? The helicopters came to Vietnam.
No,
The Air
the
Mobile
helicopters.
Division?
The helicopters were there in the 60s, early 61, 62. Mainly dust off. That's what the medical things was. But the company I was with, they came over in 64, and I joined that one.
So in 66, you went from Fort Rutgers right to Vietnam?
Well, no, I got 30-day leave, and then went. Yes.
So you were trained, ready to roll. You were trained on the Huey?
Yeah. Yeah.
So what did you think you were getting into, or was it just you're young? It was just adventure.
Well, I was happy that I was young. I was happy that I was a pilot. I was happy to be a warrant officer. I didn't know the what would happen over in Vietnam until after I got there. So yeah, I was a very naive young man.
Tell me about what you remember the first time you went to Vietnam and getting off a plane or whatever. Tell me about that experience. Did you go over on a plane?
Yeah, we went over on a 707.
Do you remember that ride?
Oh yes.
Tell me what you.
Well, my 2 friends, we met in Grand Junction here, and we all went to Fort Travis Air Force Base together. When we got on the plane, there must have been, I'd say, almost 100 warrant officers on that plane. We went from, and then I turned 21 on the flight, which didn't last for 24 hours, of course, because we went past the deadline. went to Hawaii, and then Wake Island, and then Guam, then the Philippines, and then Saigon. And that's where we got off. And we got off the plane. It was horribly hot. I saw a U2 out on the airstrip, and I had a camera. I took a picture, and the APs took my camera. I didn't know what a U2 was at that time. So yeah, and then we spent that night at the Tonsanute Air Base, and the next morning they called out our names and we went to different units. So
Where did you go?
I went to Benoit with the Rattlers and Barbers.
So that was the 71st?
Yes.
Part of the first, or the 501? 501?
We were part of the 145th Aviation Battalion.
Okay. And your rank is Warrant Officer 1 or just Warrant Officer?
One.
Okay, so you're 1. And are you a commander or co-pilot?
Oh, you're a Peter pilot. Yeah, when you get there, you're the lowest there is for a pilot. You have to take a flight with the flight instructor, whoever is in your platoon. There's an IP instructor pilot. He takes you out, and you fly with him, and he tries to orient you to the sense and what the different SOP operations are for our unit. And then you get to fly with all the other aircraft commanders. Then in January of '67, I became an aircraft commander, but there was no slots open for an aircraft commander, so I just got to fly in the left seat. And then one of my good friends his tailbone fell off, and so they gave me his call sign. So,
Do you remember the call sign?
Rattler 20.
20? What was his name?
J. Robbins. Yep. So
Yeah. What model Huey were you flying?
the D model.
Okay. When you were in training at Fort Rucker, were you guys being prepared for combat, or were you just learning to fly, or what was your focus during that training?
Well, really, it was just to learn how to fly the A and B model Hueys at that time. We never had C or Ds back in Rucker. They were all being shipped to Vietnam. So, for being in combat, no, they never trained you for that. They teach how to fly in a formation a little bit. When you get to Vietnam in your company, that's where you really learn to fly formations and stuff, and how you go into different LZs and get out of LZs. But for Rucker, no.
So really, they weren't thinking about combat?
What? No, I think what they were more interested in is to make sure you didn't kill yourself at Fort Rucker. That's really what it amounts to. I mean, they were in need of a lot of helicopter pilots. When we started at Fort Walters, the class of 6613, there was over 200. A lot of them graduated, but when we ended up graduating at Fort Rucker, each unit, when I graduated in 6615, there was only 99 of us or 98 of us. So they would get rid of half of them. So a lot of them, how do I want to say, couldn't take the harassment and stuff because you are a warrant officer candidate, and then you're going to be an officer, and they give you a lot of BS, harassment and stuff, get you up at all hours, make you run 10 miles, make you be an officer of the day type thing, and learn different things. A lot of people couldn't take that harassment, I guess is what you call it. And then a lot of them couldn't manage to fly the helicopter, so that's how they got down. Now, what happened afterwards, I don't know. So, yeah.
So Fort Walters is the first place you go to?
Yes, sir.
How many weeks was that? Do you remember?
You know, we got there December 18th or 15th of 65. And they gave all of us a 10-day leave that didn't count against your leave to get rid of you for Christmas time. So, and then you had to report back on January 2nd or 3rd of 66. And then we didn't get out of there until May of 66. And then we reported into Fort Rucker in June of 66 and left there in October of 66.
So over in Vietnam, obviously you're thinking about combat, and they've got you in a... No? Really?
No. You don't realize what combat is until you get out there.
So you're in an assault helicopter company?
Right.
The 145th, or is that what it is?
No, we were the 71st.
Okay. Where did the word rattlers come from?
That was brought over from the States. The CO and one of the wives picked the number, or the Rattler deals, or the Firebirds. I can't remember which now. The Firebirds were a gun team, and the Rattlers were the Slicks. So where it came from was way back in the States when they came over in 63 or 64.
Have you been to any of the reunions?
Yes.
Is it just for the Vietnam Rattlers, or is it for anybody in that company?
Anybody in that company, whether they be Firebird, Rattlers, or even the Snake Doctor, which the Snake Doctor was the maintenance department. And it's for officers and enlisted. And we're going to go in June of this year.
You're going to go to Texas?
Yes, Arlington.
How many veterans do you think show up for that? Over 100?
Well, let's put it this way, it's getting a lot less. I couldn't tell you for sure.
But you're signed up to go to that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I thought maybe I'd call the guy that heads that up and see if I could come down and...
Ron Seabelt?
Yeah.
A very nice guy. He was a crew chief. He was in 1st Platoon. Everybody called him Radar because he was, probably about 6'4", maybe taller than that even. And he had don't repeat that one, but he had some very large ears, and he looked like a radar going around, standing out there, and everybody, that was his nickname. So I don't know if he got that a long time beforehand or whether he got it later, but he's our director now for the Rattlers Firebirds. Very nice man, very nice.
Yeah, I saw his picture on the website, so yeah. Margot had sent me that website last year, and I looked at it, but... Okay, so you're in Vietnam, you're young. Tell me about the first time you encountered combat on an LZ, or what kind of missions did you fly?
Well, I went off, I think the first aircraft commander besides the IP was Mr. Rudolph. He was a big, tall guy, had red hair, great guy. Anyway, we went out and landed in an LZ. I don't think we took troops out, but I don't think we took any fire. And we got sent back to Cu Chi to pick up bodies to take to grave registration in Saigon. That's when it hit me. So.
Yeah, you remember that, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I got sick.
Did you do a lot of that type of medevac type work where
No, what we
wounded or-
were doing was we was picking them up from Cucci from the 25th Infantry Division and picking up dead bodies just to take them to grave registration in Saigon to where then they were classified and everything, but they were already in bags, okay? So we didn't get to see the bodies, but you knew what was in them, so yeah.
kind of, you said it hit you. You said that it really hit you. You were in war,
Well,
you're in combat.
Because you could smell them.
Yeah.
I got sick.
Were you a commander at this time?
Oh, no. No. I was like my second day in Vietnam.
Okay. So what type of missions did you fly?
Well, mainly combat assaults. We took troops out, landed them in a field. The gunships would cover us. The landing zones would be bombed by the jets or the B-52s or artillery. And then we would take our troops in and land them. And then we'd take off, come back, pick up more and bring them in. If LZ was hot, somebody was designated as a medic ship to go back in and pick up wounded or dead or rescue other helicopter pilots and stuff if necessary. So then we flew a lot of ash and trash, which was taking food, postal, beer, cigarettes, all sorts of different things out to the field. We were constantly being called up to do medevacs. So there'd be 3 ships going out, taking all the food and whatever, and then one of the 3 sometimes would leave and go pick up a wounded or dead bodies, and then fly them back into Benoit, Long Binh, Saigon. So
Tell me about a combat assault. Tell me about your role. Tell me about the pickup, and then how many troops are on board going into the LZ. So tell me about the pickup.
The pickup was at different zones, different places. We picked them up, the 25th Infantry Division, 1st Infantry Division mainly, the Americal Division of the 196th. Got started in March or February, I can't remember exactly, of 67. But you just land. The troops are out there. They've got somewhere between 4 and 6 that's going to get on your helicopter. If you had a weak helicopter, you were lucky to get 4 off. But they tried to get always at least 6, but you couldn't always carry that because it's very hot over there, very humid, and your helicopter engine is weakened over time. I think every 1,000 hours you have to have a complete overhaul of that engine. But so you get them on. The lead ship takes off, and you follow in formation. You either are in trail or V or different things. I mean, whatever they call it more. You go in. Then sometimes the LZ is pretty large and everybody can get in. Sometimes it's very small and you're lucky to get 2 or 3 in or even 1 in. You go in and once you land, you get them out and take off because the other helicopter's coming right in. And then you take off, go back around, pick up more, and keep doing it all day long. It's when it gets a little hot in the sense of being shot at, it gets a little weird. So, yeah.
Did you go into a... Do you need a drink of water?
I'm going to have to go get something.
Go ahead. Just go ahead. Take your time.
I haven't done this much talking in a long time.
Well, you're doing great.
Okay.
Okay. Tell me again where you're at in Vietnam. What city? Where are you at again?
Benoit.
Benoit. Is that northern?
No, it's like 30 miles north of Saigon. And you go a little bit farther north, there's Long Binh. And you go towards the ocean, that's Vung Tau. And you go towards Cambodia. Now you're getting to Cu Chi, Tay Ninh, so Phu Loi.
Have you been back to Vietnam since?
Oh, no,
Okay. No desire?
I went twice, that's enough.
What do you feel like when you hear a helicopter fly overhead?
I get excited.
They don't make the same sound as the Huey, though, do
Well,
they? The hospital one?
well, we were out here on the patio in our backyard, and I don't know why. We were both outside, but 4 Hueys flew right over our house.
Really?
Yeah.
From where?
It was in 2000, July or August of 14, right after the house we moved in, and it was amazing.
Maybe it was a sign from God or something, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, boy. Okay, so you're flying combat assaults. I'm trying, as I talk to the veterans, it seems like sometimes the interview goes really fast, but I want to kind of just slow it down. I want to ask you some questions I probably never asked before, but when you're in a helicopter, can you just briefly describe what you're doing? Is it like in an airplane you're pulling back, or is it is it a stick that makes you go up in the rudder, and what kind of
Well,
things are you doing?
you have feet control, which controls your tail boom and keeps you in trim, they call it.
You're kind of jockeying
Yes,
between those two?
Yeah, you move all 4 extremities when you're flying a helicopter. You got a collective that's on the side that makes you go up and down, and then you have the stick and it's between your legs, and that makes you go forward or backwards or left or right type situation. So your hands are full. If you're the aircraft commander, you're the one on the controls. The Peter pilot or other pilot has his hands ready and feet ready in case you get shot or shrapnel or anything happens to you, or you have a heart attack from all the shells coming up. But no, and that's just the way it is.
What makes you go up? The collective?
Collective on the side.
Okay. So when that helicopter starts up, do you push a button?
Well, you go up here and to the diffuses, and then you hit the button up here and starts the propeller going.
To start the slow rotation, and then
That starts
is
the
there
rotor
like
blades.
a whine or a sound like a?
Oh yes, definitely a sound that you can hear and you understand it. I'm going to.
Do you have a sound of it starting up?
Yeah, this is the page here for. Were used by our aircraft during our service of it. Rather was used on the D1s and H models. The Firebirds was on B, C, and M models, which I never saw an M model over there. Whoops, that's wrong. Come on back here.
That's okay.
Anyway, when you hear a Huey going, it brings chills to you. Well, at least it does to me.
Yeah.
Maybe other people wouldn't, but come on, Bill. Where's it?
What are you looking for?
Well, it's got a whole bunch of things. It's got a soundtrack here.
Oh, gotcha.
And I was trying to get to that soundtrack that
Well, we could do that at the
Steve-O.
end of the interview. Maybe we could look
Yeah.
that up. Yeah. Let's just keep going here. So, okay, combat assaults, supplies, resupply, some medevacs, pickups. Tell me about the crew on a Huey. How many people are on a?
Well, there's a crew of 4. You have, when you go out in the mornings, you have a crew chief and you have a gunner. The crew chief is normally always there at the helicopter before you get there. The gunner has got the M60s and stuff and making sure they're all working. He doesn't fire anything, he just clicks them and stuff. Then you do a inspection of the helicopter. The AC, the Peter pilot, and the crew chief to make sure everything is all in one piece, and then you get ready and you take off and go. That's always in the mornings. When we were in Benoit, we always got up in the dark because we lived in a villa when we were from November to the middle of April. We lived in a villa, and I had 2 men to a room, hot and cold running water, had a stool that you flush, a shower, a nice bed, and we had a bar in the villa as well as a big kitchen area. When we moved up north, we got to live in tents. We didn't have any hot and cold running water. You took a bath or a bath in the ocean. And you don't use soap in the ocean because that salt water is bad for you. And then we lived like that until I left. We got out of the tents and moved into hooches because we got the CBs to build hooches for us up at Chulai. They were very, very good guys. But all you had to do was, they wanted to go someplace or they wanted to pick up something, well, there was always a helicopter there for them to do it while they were building our hooches for us. But it was a complete culture shock going from Benoit to Chulai. So it's a complete different story.
Tell me about any interaction you had with the troops. I mean, did it all just become a blur, or was there something distinct about these people? With soldiers, I'm assuming you're working with Army soldiers, not Marines, right?
Oh, we worked with Marines up
you did?
north too.
Okay.
We worked with Australians down around the Vung Tau area. We had Australians. We had the Montagnards, and we had Green Berets and stuff. All the time, Green Berets, you do different things for them. Up north, we worked with the North Koreans and some Marines. So, yeah, we flew a lot of different countries over there, a lot of different units. When I was down south, I flew a mission with SEALs on it. And they hung a big curtain in the back of the deal so that we couldn't see what was going on back there. But they don't realize is when you jump out of a helicopter, you lost 150 or 200 pounds, you're going to feel that going. So why they did, I don't know why they used a curtain. We weren't going to tell anybody anyway. But yeah, we flew in the Navy around, SEALs. We did things for the Air Force too. So yeah, we did a lot of different things for different people. So
I don't know if you kept a log of all your flights. Did you ever keep a log?
yes, I did, but not all of them.
How many do you think you flew? How many missions do you think you flew?
I got over 1,100 combat hours.
Wow. Okay. Did you get an air medal for every?
Every 25 hours of combat flying, you got an air medal. I've got 27.
Wow.
Yeah.
Are these just given to you, awarded to you? How do they?
Yeah.
I'm looking up there.
This one here is the 25th, so we can't find the 26th or 27th, but my DD-214 says I have an air medal with 26 on top of that, so.
So the interaction with the troops was limited. I mean, when you're in a helicopter, it's loud, right? You can't really.
Yeah, you can't really pay attention because you're talking to your other pilots, you're talking to the whole company going out, the Firebirds are talking, your crew chief and gunner are talking to you. The only time, I really can't think. I guess when I picked up the SEALs, the Navy lieutenant, because he had a captain, and the Navy, when you're a captain, they call you a lieutenant. But anyway, he explained to me what I was supposed to do and all that kind of stuff. Get in the helicopter and take off, and that's it. So that's your only conversations. Mm-hmm. When you go to a combat assault, either you are briefed when you land, before you pick up the troops, or before we ever left the air base itself in the mornings. So,
what about the facial expressions of the troops? Did you ever notice the facial expressions? If they looked scared, if they looked...
They didn't look any scarier than we were. We were all scared.
Did you ever have the thought that some of these guys might not be coming back? I mean, did you ever think like that?
I knew they wouldn't, because I'd been picked up too many.
Yeah. Who are you talking to? Do you have like an air traffic control center, like airplanes?
No, you have an air traffic control center at the base, and then when you go to another base type thing, you will talk with one. But normally, if you're in a combat assault with a flight, the lead aircraft does all the talking to the control center.
When I ask you what was maybe the toughest mission you flew, what comes to mind as far as the enemy, hot LZ, casualties? What was the toughest mission that you flew? Do you remember?
No.
Were they all kind of bad?
Yeah, when you're going into a hot LZ, you always see these green tracers. They're coming back out. Well, we shoot red ones and they shoot green ones. And when them green ones start looking like basketballs. So, but all of them were, not all of them were bad, But when you go into a hot LZ and there's 10 of you that land and 7 of them get off if you're lucky, and the others are already been shot up, you got to go back around and pick up the other crew members, the pilots, and you have to pick up all the dead and wounded. So, yeah, that's what we did.
Are they shooting AK-47s at you, or what are they shooting, the enemy?
Mainly AK-47s. The machine gun, the 51 caliber machine gun, was used up north quite a bit. But one of the gunships got a 51 round that came through the dash and hit one of the pilots here, but he had his chest protector on. Knocked the shit out of him. I mean, excuse me, but he went unconscious. When they took him back into Chulai to have him checked over, that's when he started to come back around because he'd gotten his breath again. And he ended up with a lot of that chest protector fiberglass in there into his face, but that was it. Damn lucky. So, yeah.
Did you lose a lot of ships during your tour there?
We lost our share, yeah.
Were you ever with them when they were shot down, or did you see them go down at the time?
Oh, yeah.
So what do you do? Do you call something on the radio? Do you try to help? What do you do?
Well, it depends upon, if you've got troops on board, you've got to get them troops there and then come back and try to help them out. Just like when you go into a hot LZ, everybody's got troops on board. You have to get them off. And then normally the last 1, 2, or 3 ships has to go back in and try to pick them up. Whatever, the guys, the pilots, whatever. So, yeah.
But they didn't all survive, right? Some of them were killed during those.
Yep.
Yeah. People that you worked with that you knew.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what keeps you going? Just your purpose, your mission, your faith? I mean, what keeps you going?
Your 1-year commitment. So.
What were your thoughts about home, or did you think about home?
No.
Were you married then?
No.
Okay.
I didn't get married till I got back home and before I went to Germany.
Did you have a girlfriend?
Well, I guess she was.
You knew Margot then. You already knew Margot. Okay.
Yeah. We met just before I went over.
Did she write you?
Yes.
What do those letters mean to you?
Well, great. They sent care packages to us. My mom and dad wrote, and Margot wrote. It was a little uplifting. When you come back at night, you read the letters over and over. You go to the bar, you have a beer or two, or a drink or two, and then, but when we were in Benoit, we were flying. Like, you have to get up like 4 or 5 o'clock in the mornings. You get back at like 6 and 7 o'clock at night. Every 30 days they tried to give you a day off, but that didn't always work. When we were up north, it was a lot less of flying. I mean, not less, but we didn't have to get up at, you got up at 6 o'clock when the sun was just coming up, and you normally get back just as the sun's coming down, because we were at Benoit and we were always flying way out to pick up a mission or do whatever, but it was always a ways away. Up in Chulai, we were doing that. So we were supporting the 196th.
Okay, tell me. I want to do this slow, but I'm kind of jumping around just a bit. But I want to know about when you were shot, what mission you were on, and just slow it down for me. Tell me about that day and what happened to you.
Well, that was on my second tour.
Oh, okay. Stop a second. So this was in '69. Your second tour, right? Okay, we'll get there in a minute then. Okay. So this is still 66?
67, yeah.
Oh, you were in 67 now. So why did you get out the first time, and how long was it before you went back in the second time?
Well, everybody goes for 1 year.
Right.
Some people volunteered and went for 6 months. Now, I tried to extend my first tour by 1 month so that we could get married in December and then go to Germany. It didn't work out, which is okay because the CO and me, the new CO that came in, him and me were not communicating very well together. He threatened to keep me a lot longer than 1 year. But that's when but everybody, and then when you get out, I didn't think I was going to go back because the war was dying down. when I got out of Vietnam the first time, came home, then in December we got married. I was supposed to call the Army in Washington, D.C. and get my orders. I never got orders until February of '68. So I had a long time, 120 days. And but they tried to charge me leave for that time, but I had excuses, and I also had proof that I had been trying to contact them. In fact, when we got married, I went to Fort Carson and got orders for my wife to go to Germany with me. And he says, well, have you got orders yet? And I said, no. I said, this is the number. I gave them the deal. And they tried to call, and they didn't have any William Lurvey there. So the Pentagon sort of messed up my orders, or messed up at that time. But in '67 and '68, it was getting hot and heavy. And when I got to Germany, I got exactly 1 day. I got there February the 14th of 1968. Oh, I left on February the 14th, 1969. And that's all I was guaranteed. So it was a messed up deal in that sense. And a lot of people, when I was over in Germany, volunteered to go back because it was so boring in Germany. I had a lot of the other pilots up and volunteered. I want to go back. I want some action on. And they were enjoying that stuff. I was not in a hurry.
So your first tour was 66, 67.
That's right. November, I got there 1 day after I was 21, and I left like 4 days before I turned 22.
So November to November?
Yep.
66, 67, okay. So what month did you go back to Vietnam?
I went back in April of 1969.
Were you with the same company?
No, I went back with the 1st Infantry Division.
So where are you based at?
Phu Loy, just outside of Benoit.
And that was your orders to go there?
No, my orders were to go to Vietnam. Mm-hmm. And when I got there, again, I was in, I think I was in Long Binh, and they came and picked me up. So
you're with the Big Red One?
Yes.
So you're doing combat assaults with the 1st Infantry?
Never did. I think I only went on 2 combat assaults in the 3 weeks I was there.
You were there only 3 weeks?
I got there April the 7th, and on April the 28th, I was in the hospital.
Tell me what happened to you.
Well, it was an ash and trash mission. We went out and took food that morning early, mail, and it was on our 3rd trip out of there or into there, and we came out of it, and we just, the guy cut loose down below with an AK-47 and hit everybody on the ship. So that was and when he came out, he put the ship in a little bit of a slip, and the air came through and grabbed the map, and it blew it over, and I reached over like this to grab the map, and that's when the bullet went in here and then came back out here. So, and I didn't know I was hit. The other pilot started hollering, "Mayday, Mayday," going down, and I grabbed the controls and took it over and started flying. The crew chief came up and patched up he had a wound here and on his arm, patched him up. And of course the crew chief was shot, but he not very bad evidently. And he asked me if I was okay, and I said, yeah, I'm fine. He said, well, what's wrong with your leg? Well, I looked down, and my leg was completely twirled underneath the seat. I didn't know it. When I turned around to look at him like that, that's when he realized that I'd been shot in the head. So, and then we got landed at Lurvey, and they pulled the seat on a Huey. There's two handles at the back, and they pull them, and you come out that way because I couldn't get out the door. They put me on a gurney and took me over to the first aid station, and immediately called medevac and took me to Long Bend, and that's it. So it was very short.
Well, so who was firing the AK-47?
Evidently some gook on the ground. Couldn't tell you because I didn't ask his name. I didn't even stop to ask him.
Was he like a sniper around the fire base or what?
Well, he was close by where the base was, or where the guys were bivouacked out there. What they were doing out there, I do not know. Evidently, they were on a seek and search, or search and seek people. But he saw a helicopter, so he went crazy. So I don't know if it was 1, 2, 3, 5, whatever, but.
So you're coming back from a mission, or you were going?
Well, we had just landed, emptied everything out of the ship, and we was taken out and coming out like that, and that's when he got.
Were you the commander?
No.
Okay.
Because I've only been there 3 weeks.
So you're in the left seat?
I'm in the right seat.
Right seat. Okay. Okay. And your commander was hit, you took the controls, and you landed the aircraft?
Well, me and him landed it together, yeah.
Wow. What was wrong with your leg?
When you get shot on the right side, it messes up your left side. When you get shot on the left side up here, it messes up your right side. So, I mean, it's vice versa. So in other words, if you hit here, you're over this side. If you hit up here, it's this side. So it's really funny how the brain and the nerves and stuff were set up there. I didn't know nothing about it until after I got shot, but I found out a lot. So
you didn't even know you were shot, you said?
No.
So at what point did you realize you were wounded?
When he said there was something wrong with my leg. I looked down, I felt it, I said I was okay. I turned around, he says, you've been shot in the head. A couple of minutes later, some of the blood and stuff was coming down in my back and in my face, and that's when I knew I was in trouble. So,
did you go into shock?
No.
So you were conscious the whole time?
Oh yeah. Not only that, but I wasn't parking that thing outside in the woods. So we were going to get to Lurvey base, and I made damn sure of that.
Wow. How old are you? 22 at this time? Or no, you're about 24 maybe?
Oh, let's see. I'm 23 and a half.
Okay. Yeah. Young man.
Yeah.
So tell me about, do you remember the medevac flight out of there that took you out?
I left the Lurvey. There was 2 pilots picked me up. They laid me down in the back and said, we're going to Long Bend. I waved at them like that. And then I think I lost consciousness. Then I got to Long Bend when they got me off the ship or the helicopter and took me on the gurney. I was awake again, I know. They took all scissors and cut all my uniforms off of me, and I don't know if it was a doctor, a nurse, whatever, gave me a shot and said, start counting. I got to 94, and he says, give him another one. So that's all I remember.
So how serious wounded were you? Could you have died from that?
Well, yeah, because you can bleed to death. Plus, you've got all of that shrapnel from the bone mainly, some metal, but it really affects your walking. At least mine did. When I was there in Long Bend for a couple of nights, then I went to Saigon for a couple of nights, and then I went to Japan. I was there for 7 or 8 days. But they kept x-raying my head because I only had one operation. I think that's what helped me, not having digging in my brain to being better off than I should have been. But they wanted to make sure all the bone was out and all the metal and stuff was out. All I know is I said, well, why am I keep getting x-rayed in Japan? And the doctor says, well, you got to have more shrapnel or bone and metal in your head. You only had one operation, and that's unusual. And so I guess the doctor finally went through and found out that the neurosurgeon that operated on me in Long Bend was one of the top 10. So then they sent me back to Fitzsimmons. Now they give you a choice, either Walter Reed or Fitzsimmons. So, and I said Fitzsimmons. That's in Colorado. So, and then I was there for 6 months.
And that was the end of your tour. That was it.
Well, yeah, and then that's why they give me a medical retirement. Because you can't fly anymore, so you're no good to the military. So they give you 100% disability and say they're going to send you to school and train you again for something else.
So that second tour was really short, 3 weeks, you said. And that was it. You're out of there. And they give you a Purple Heart?
And Distinguished Flying Cross.
And your flying career is over.
Oh, yeah.
Do you ever dream about Vietnam?
Oh, yeah. Do I dream about Vietnam? No.
No.
No. I have thoughts about it now and then, but I don't dream about it no more. I dream sometimes about getting woken up in the middle of grenades or things dropping in for bombs and things, but RPGs and things like that. But otherwise, I think I'm okay.
So you didn't come back from Vietnam like all of these troops that were spit on. They were called baby killers. They were cursed at. You didn't have any type of homecoming like that.
No, when we left the first time from Vietnam, we met in Cameron Bay, and our flight left at 10 o'clock at night, or 10:30, something like that. And there was a whole bunch of warrant officers on board again. We landed in Seattle 1 hour before we took off. So, because you go through the date line. I think we landed there around 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. And we went to the Tacoma or Seattle deal and got our flights out, but we were late at night, so nobody was wanting to do during the daytime thing. I landed in Denver and then caught a flight home to Grand Junction, and I didn't have any problems. And when I came home the second time, I went straight to Fitzsimmons Hospital and didn't go through the regular airport. So, yeah. I don't think I ever had a problem with them.
So how was Margot notified that you were wounded? Oh, yeah, because you're married now. Yeah, you're married. So how was she notified?
She got a telegram. Well, she was up in Olathe. She got a telegram that I'd been shot. So when I was in Japan, I was able to call my parents and call her. And then they gave me a date for when I would get to Fitzsimmons, and I called her then and told her, and then she drove from Olathe to Fitzsimmons.
Wow. How has your life changed? Well, how did that change your life? You're a disabled veteran, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So your whole life was changed with your wounds.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I thought I was going to make a career out of the Army. I mean, I was doing my thing that I dreamed of, being a pilot. I was making more money than I'd ever made before in my life, being a warrant officer over 4 years of in, being combat assault, getting flight pay, and being married. It was pretty good money. I enjoyed it. My wife did not enjoy being a military spouse because even in Germany, we'd get called out to do war games over there, or we'd get called up to go the flights doing more advanced training on the helicopters. And as an officer's wife, she's supposed to not fraternize with enlisted people, which was definitely pretty hard for the women over there because none of them were real officers' wives. I mean, we were just warrant officers. And but other than that, she knew what I wanted to do. So, yeah, she was going to make it okay. She probably didn't like the idea it was going to be moving every 2 or 3 years, but...
So do you have any other military history in your family? Anybody else that served in the military?
Oh, yeah. My grandfather served for the Colorado Reserve. Didn't do during World War I, but he didn't do anything. My father was in World War II in the Navy. My uncle and aunt were in World War II. Uncle Chuck went in 41 before it started, and then he met his wife there. She was a wave, and they got married. So, yeah, the three of them. Yeah. So, but my son spent 8 years in the Army. So,
Brian?
yeah.
Oh, hi.
He was a medic. And then when he got out, he became a paramedic. And so, yeah, there's some history with the military.
Yeah.
I don't think the military is bad for anybody. I think there's a lot of opportunity in there. I think it gives the people a lot of, you can't wussy out. And I think a lot of these young people can't take that harassment.
They were all in Vietnam?
No. One was, after basic training, he was messing around with a car and lost his hand with the fan belt or the radiator. And the other one didn't go to Vietnam because his brother was in Vietnam. So he went to Korea. But let's see. There's 7 of us. 3 were in the Army and 4 were in the Marines, and all 4 Marines were in Vietnam. But we all graduated from Central High School.
64?
Well, one graduated in 61, one graduated in 65, but the other 5 of us graduated in 64. Yeah.
Did you lose classmates in Vietnam that you know of that went over and were killed in Vietnam?
No.
Okay.
No. I think I was the only one that came home from 64 that ended up with a Purple Heart. So.
Tell me about the Vietnam Wall. Have you ever seen the Vietnam Wall?
Oh, yes. 2 or 3 times.
Tell me about the first time you went and why you went and what you experienced.
Let's see. I went with the Rattlers and Firebirds reunion thing in Washington, D.C. Very touching. Very very nice. It was a very nice place. Now, I didn't enjoy the nicety of it until the second and third time I was back. I had too many emotional things from it, yeah. And then the last time we went back, there were the Vietnam helicopter pilots was having a reunion there. And And all of us that were in Germany together, the couples, we had a mini reunion together, and that's when we got to see the World War II memorial, go see the Korean memorial the second time, and Vietnam the third time. So, but the World War II memorial was very nice, and of course it didn't get built until the 2000s. So,
Yeah. 2004, I was there.
well, that's pretty good.
Yeah, way late. It should have been done way sooner than that.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Because the Korean War memorial was done before the Vietnam, and then the Vietnam was done way before World War II. And yeah, you're right. It should have been done a long time.
So did you look up the names of the ones that you lost in Vietnam on the wall?
The ones that I could find, yes, I did.
Yeah.
Quite a few.
Do you stay in touch with some of those people you flew with, or are they at the reunions? And
They're at the reunions, yes. Yeah.
are you part of Vietnam Helicopter Pilot Association?
Oh yeah, I'm a lifetime member.
Do you go to those reunions?
We did. We don't anymore. It's got too commercialized. And the reason I go to the Rattlers and Firebirds is for old friends. And to do something besides sitting here in Grand Junction. But now the group in Germany. Now we're going June 1st, going to drive out to Arlington. We'll spend 4 days there in Arlington, and then we're going to go back over to Allen, Texas. And there's another big hotel, and all the guys from Germany, or at least what we can find, or that's able to. There's going to be 8 or 9, 10 of us, and their wives or girlfriends, because a couple of them just have girlfriends. But we just recently lost one of them, a heart attack. That means you're getting old, I guess. So we're gonna be gone for about 2 weeks, but we have more fun with the guys from Germany because the wives were all together in Germany. The wives have nothing to do, in a sense, but to listen to old farts talk at the Rattlers and Firebirds, where the stories get bigger and bigger every year. But she does it because I enjoy it.
That's good. I like reunions. I'm glad you're going. Yeah. Do you suffer from PTSD at all?
Probably.
But you've never been diagnosed?
No.
Yeah. Do you work with the VA here? Do you work with the VA?
Well, I go there every year. They're going to try to put a new brace on my left leg and see if it'll work the end of this month. I have my hearing aids, teeth work. What else? Eyesight, glasses. And I go physical every year, so.
So tell me what exactly happened to you from the shot in the head. It affected your leg?
Yes, well, when I woke up, my whole left side was completely paralyzed. But that's from the doctor digging down, and the farther down it goes. The top of your head is for your foot. The farther down you go is get up here. So I was completely paralyzed on the left side. They had a therapist at Longben. She came over and tried to move my arm, and I told her to quit it. And she says, why? I says, there's needles in there, and every time you shove that arm up, them needles go farther up my arm. I can feel that. Oh, I said, so if you're a therapist, I don't know what the hell you're doing. So they quit doing that one. They didn't do any more therapy on me until I got to Fitzsimmons. So, but my strength in my arm came back pretty good. Not completely, but pretty good. I was in a wheelchair for a couple of months. And then I used crutches. And then I started using a cane. Oh, and then they got me a brace on my left leg. And it was a shoe, and it had a metal heel at the back, and it would pop my foot up every time I would step, because I have a drop foot, is what they call it. And I would learn to walk with that. Then, geez, I still had that brace until the 80s, and then I started wearing cowboy boots. And I was able to use the cowboy boots because the heel on the back end stepped down, so I was walking flat-footed, but at least my toes weren't going into the ground. So, and the cowboy boots worked great. And then, a couple of years ago, I just couldn't get the cowboy boots on very good, and my wife said you need to start using the cane, so I did. So I use a cane now. But they're going to try a brace up there at the end of the month for me at the VA. So go from there and see what happens.
So your head injury affected your left leg?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, it gives you a drop foot.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what it amounts to is the nerves were shot out, and so the nerves that control and the muscles that control the left side are very weak because of that shot. So it's not like a shot of whiskey.
When we're done, I want you to show me some of these awards and things on the wall when we're done. I'm going to take my camera, but is Vietnam still a big part of your life today?
No.
You don't talk about it much?
They did this morning at breakfast. They were talking about their hearings. A lot of them lost their hearing over there because of the big guns and stuff. What the shock waves were when the bombs hit and stuff like that. But no, I've got a friend or one of the guys that meets there. He's well off, him and his wife, and they went on a big cruise around the world, and they were in Ho Chi Minh, which is Saigon, or was Saigon, and they got to go up north of Vietnam and but around the Da Nang area, up in that area towards DMZ. He said he sort of enjoyed it, but he said it's completely different, never recognized the base that he was on or anything. Of course, he was in the Marines, so they didn't have an actual big base. It was a small one. So he said it was okay. Everybody else has asked, do you ever want to go back? And I said, no. I said, I was there twice. I left enough blood. I don't need to go back. So it's not something on my bucket list. Mm-hmm. If I was going on a bucket list, I'd go back to Europe. Mm-hmm.
So when Margot told you about me last year, why did you decide you wanted to tell your story? What made you want to tell your story?
Because my son and her talked me into it.
Do you see that it's important, though, to tell your story?
I don't know.
How about for history's sake? Don't you think? Because what you did is a part of our history.
Maybe. But whose history? Who's really going to pay attention to it type thing? So that's what I'm saying.
Well, I have a lot of people that watch my video interviews, and they're going to watch it. And hopefully their kids are going to watch it so they can learn about Vietnam, because they're not learning it in the schools today. Kids aren't learning about things.
Well, yeah, but the kids don't even learn about what went on in World War II, what went on in World War I. High school, no offense meant, but it's not teaching anything that's of what the history of the world is like. Because when I was in college, I took all the history courses I could. I went from learning all the different presidents, the vice presidents, who they ran against, all the history I could think of to take. I enjoyed it. It was very interesting. It also tells you that you can have history can come up and bite you again the same way it bit us years ago. So, but the schools don't seem to care. So, I don't know if that's good or bad. But
Is Veterans Day important to you? Does it mean anything to you?
I get a free beer. Other than that, no, it doesn't mean a lot.
Are you proud to be a Vietnam veteran?
You betcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm proud to be a veteran.
Do you miss flying?
Oh, yeah.
What do you think you miss about it?
When you're flying a helicopter, you don't get up very high. You're down, 1,000, 3,000 feet, but you can sure see a lot of country from up there. And there's so much to see from that area. People don't get to see it enough. When you fly today, you fly at 30 and 35,000 feet. You can't see what is going on the earth. That's why helicopter flying was a great thing. I mean, I enjoyed the heck out of it in Europe, in Vietnam even. I saw a lot of different wildlife over there. So, and when we flew from Benoit and flew up north to Chulai, there's a lot of beautiful beaches. It really was in Vietnam. I can't believe it. I mean, it's sort of like, I guess, a big R&R place for people now because of the beaches and things. And people are talking about Florida being a great place, but their beaches aren't any better than what Vietnam's was. So that's what I think I miss, seeing things more.
Bill, are there sights, sounds, or smells today that bring back Vietnam?
No. Oh, yeah, well, the Hueys, when a helicopter, yeah, I see them all the time. Yeah, I think about it then. Yes, definitely.
Yeah. But it's not like the movies, is it? You see the helicopters flying and you hear Creedence Clearwater Revival playing, and is there any glamour in all that?
No, there's no glamour in it. There's nothing glamorous about war. So.
Yeah. I agree with that. Yeah.
But they sound different songs that come on every now and then. The Animals, Get Me Out of This Place. Creedence Clearwater Revival. So when them songs are played, yeah, that takes you back to when the 60s was and the 70s. But to make me think about Vietnam, no, but think about that era, yes.
Mm-hmm. Are the memories starting to fade?
Oh, yeah.
So when I ask you about combat, and you only had one M60 on board, or did you have two?
Two. One on each side, one for the crew chief and one for the gunner.
So the crew chief fired it too, okay. So the gunships would go in first sometimes.
Yes.
And then you would have to man the machine guns going in and out?
I didn't man it.
No, I mean the crew.
But the crew did. Normally, when you had an assault helicopters going into a place for an LZ, which is a landing zone. You either have artillery that cleans it up type thing, you have B-52s that come in and do it, or you have the Air Force flying all their different jets in and stuff and doing napalms and things like that. And still, even when that happened, doesn't mean they got rid of all the enemy or unfriendly people. So our Firebirds went in and they had rockets and machine guns and stuff, but you always ended up with them type situation. Now, sometimes the Firebirds didn't open up at all because we never took any rounds going in. So sometimes it did and sometimes it didn't. So when it did, all shit fell, man. So
When you did medevac flights, did you take them to a hospital?
yes, you tried to get them to the
Chulai?
Well, Chulai had a small hospital, but when we were down in Third Corps area, which is a Benoit, we tried to take them into Long Binh because that had a big hospital in there. So we tried to get them there, and that was the closest place to get them into because it was pretty hard to get into Saigon with all the traffic, other aircraft and stuff come in. I don't mean traffic in the sense of cars, traffic in the sense of other planes and things. So you try to land at Long Binh. They had a big heliport there and take them in there.
I have an opportunity to fly on a Huey out of the Fort Rucker area. There's a group called Friends of Vietnam Aviation. Anyways, would you ever have any interest in riding on a Huey again? Does that interest you? If you had that opportunity, would you get on?
We went on a cruise one time, and I flew in a helicopter at St. Kitts down there. The wife and me flew in one. It was fun. I enjoyed it. I wanted to take the controls, but of course, you can't do that. But for me to want to say that I would go to Fort Rucker or go to Indiana or even up to Gibson, because the people up there, I stopped in one time where they train for high altitude training there. They told me if I came back, I might sit there for a day or two, but they'd get me a ride in one of the Blackhawks. So, but I have never gone back up there. It's nothing that excites me type thing. If I could fly it, I would love to, but I can't fly, so.
Well, how does that feel? You can't do something like at 24, you're 24 years old and your career's over in the Army, right? Or could you have taken a desk job?
No.
Okay.
No, the Army, I had one MOS that was active, and I could have went to the Army Security Agency, but they wasn't going to let me hobble around in a wheelchair or anything. You have to do PT and stuff and while you're in the military. If I could have put up a fight and went to the Army Security Agency to go back to being a teletype interceptor, maybe. But that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a pilot, so yeah.
Yeah, you bet. We're kind of getting towards the end of the interview, and then we'll take a couple of pictures, but I want to ask you a question. Tell me what freedom means to you. You're a veteran, you fought for your country. What does freedom mean to you, Bill?
That's a tough question. I guess it means that I'm free to do whatever I want as long as it's not illegal. I get upset with the politicians because they're trying to collar the people and make them do it their way, what they think. And they don't know what freedom is. They've never had to fight for it. Like I got to go on a safari in Africa to hunt animals. I enjoy doing that. I'm free to do more or less what I want. You know, nobody's putting a hammer on me. Nobody is controlling me type situation. I'm 79 and I wish I could do more, but my leg limits me type thing. But I'm just free. That's about it.
Tell me what day you were shot. April, what was it?
28th.
That's coming up next week.
Yep. So
56 years? Yeah, it's 56 years.
yeah, will be. Yep.
Wow. I see the flag. Tell me what the American flag means to you.
Freedom. It's my country. I get pretty emotional when the national anthem. When somebody disrespects it, I'd like to knock them down. I don't mean in the sense of fighting them. I just mean, why are you being disrespectful to our flag? It's not right to do that. You don't know what it means to disrespect it. So, and I know a lot of my friends, old acquaintances, have died to respect it. So that's what it means.
Is there anybody that lives in this area that was served with you in the same unit over there? Okay. Okay.
In fact, I think I'm the only one from Colorado that was in the... Oh, I take that back. I think there was a Firebird that lived in Boulder, remember, during my time. But he was a little weird, or else I was a little weird. I've never tried to reach out to him or anything to that effect. But no, nobody. In fact, I'm the only one that shows up at the reunions from Colorado. So
when you see pictures of yourself during Vietnam when you were that young, what do you think about when you see those pictures?
nothing.
We were soldiers once and young.
Very young, yeah. But doesn't do anything for me.
Okay.
See, when I went on R&R, all of my bag with my film, cameras, clothes was all stolen. So when I landed in Hawaii, I had to get my cousin to take me to the Marine base, to the PX, so I could buy some shaving kit and some underwear and socks and some shirts and pants. So yeah, because that was all stolen in Vietnam, in Saigon. So just one of them things.
When you go to this reunion in June, will you see people there that you served with?
Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely. Well, Radar will be there, and I remember him very well. Chuck Carlock, who wrote the book, The Rattlers and Firebirds. He's a nice guy. Dave Ellingsworth, the instructor pilot. Let's see, Paul Thielen. Now, that man can fly a helicopter. He has over 27,000 hours of flying. And I think he just retired a couple of years ago. Now, he didn't retire from the military. He retired from working at Fort Rucker as an instructor pilot. And then, of course, there's other guys that were there with me, and crew chiefs, gunners. Yeah, so Yeah, it'll be very interesting to you. Oh, it's just nice to sit down and see him again.
We're pretty much at the end of the interview, but when I'm done, I want you to walk me through the different things on the wall. And not right now, but does that helmet come out of that case?
Yeah.
Okay, after I do one more thing, I'm going to ask you to get it out, and then I want you to hold it where you're sitting in the chair. I'm going to ask you some questions about the helmet, okay? But before we do that, you've probably never seen the end of my film, but the end of my documentaries, at the end of my interviews, I always ask the veteran just to do a salute into the camera. Can you do that from where you're seated? So show me the helmet. Tell me about the helmet and the wound and everything that happened there.
Well, as you can see, the sun visor, which is here, was up because it's broken with the bullet that came in here, and it came out back here. And it says Rattler. I had the Rattler and all this stuff painted onto it by some Vietnamese person in the Benoit area that did most of the helmets type thing, painted. So
that's the standard issued helmet for what you did?
it was in the 60s. It's no longer because they have better ear protection and stuff, because right now almost every Huey pilot or crew chief and gunner, I should say too, have hearing problems, and the ear protection that we were offered was very bad.
So is that why you have problems with your hearing?
Yeah, that's why I've got hearing aids.
Okay.
But again, the Marines, the 4 Marines that are down there at breakfast with me every Friday morning, they wear hearing aids too, because a lot of them were around the artillery, and they didn't give you ear protections. They didn't, give you something like, when you go to a gun range today, you have ear deals, and you could hear somebody talking, but you can't hear the guns going off and stuff. And so they didn't have that sophistication back in the 60s.
Well, I don't know if I've ever seen a helmet, especially one with a bullet hole in and out. So that went in and through your head.
Yeah.
And it came out the other side.
Yep.
Phew.
Yep. Came in there, went out back here.
Mm-hmm. So they just...
And they took the top of my head off.
So who got the helmet for you? Who?
I couldn't tell you exactly. I believe it was Froggy. Can't think of his first name now. He lives in Arkansas. I think he's the one that ended up corralling the helmet and getting it mailed back to my parents in Grand Junction here.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Yeah. Let's take a look at the wall. I'm going to have you give me a little tour. So that's you right here?
No, right
here.
There. Yep.
That's you, okay. I'd like to have a good copy of that. Can that be scanned or not?
I suppose it could.
If it could come out of that, I could scan. Okay, your discharge.
That's my discharge from being an enlisted man.
Okay.
That was in October of '66.
Okay.
Uh, this up here is my citation for receiving my Distinguished Flying Cross.
Okay.
This is just the U.S. combat units that my wife picked up from the 1st Aviation Brigade. I don't know where for sure.
Okay.
See, that's my diploma from Fort Walters, or Fort Rucker.
Fort Rucker. Okay.
That's my Distinguished Flying Cross up there.
Okay.
That's a citation, actual citation.
Right.
This is when I was in Fort Devens, Massachusetts, back in 65, early 65.
Okay.
That up there is my call sign that I stuck on the side of my helicopter.
Oh man. Okay.
Um,
You were Rattler 20.
Yep. What's this one? This is when I was appointed as an officer in the Army.
Okay.
This also is a Reserve Warrant Officer citation that I received from getting October 11th.
Okay.
This is my air medals. There's,
25th Air Medal.
that's the 25th.
You got 26 of them.
I got 27 total.
27.
Yeah, but we can't find the other two. So.
Okay.
And this is my certificate of training from Fort Walters.
Okay.
That, of course, is the Purple Heart. And this one up here was Joe Klein did that. Jeez, I don't remember.
Did you ask him to do that for you?
Yes, yeah, I met him. I met him and talked to him. Very nice guy. Oh, wait a minute. No. Oh, 1994.
Okay, so you were Warrant Officer 1.
Yes.
That's what you were discharged as to, right?
No, discharged as a W2.
W2. Yeah. I'm getting a shot of that. That's beautiful.
You see, it got the Rattler deal, and then on the side is that little yellow sign up there.
Oh, the Rattler 20?
Yeah.
I see that. Okay. And this right here, who put that together for you?
That is a, can't think of his name. He was a maintenance officer for us for the Rattlers and Firebirds, and this is part of the rotor blade that he cut off and then put this wall, and then gave us our Air Medal, Distinguished Flying Cross, Purple Heart when I was there.
That's so cool. That's so cool. And I like this over here too.
Now that there is from my son and daughter-in-law with all 6 of my grandkids. Then they gave me that one up there. I can't remember for what. Oh, Christmas present.
Okay.
The wife found that someplace.
That's great.
And then over there is the flag.
Yeah.
And the last one is I was retired from the Army.
Okay. That's so good.
Not a discharge, an actual retirement.
Yeah. Well, here's the helmet, folks. This is it. I got an up close and personal shot of this. AK-47.
Yep.
And you didn't even know you were hit at the time.
Nope. But it's a good thing I had a hard head.
Did the other guy survive?
Oh yeah, everybody
When he
ended
was
up
shot?
surviving, yes.
So that guy went crazy, like you said, with that AK-47. He just...
Yeah. And we don't know if there was 1, 2, or 3 of them down there, and we really wasn't going to go back and find out. The pilot, the aircraft commander of the pilot of the plane, helicopter itself, he refused to be an aircraft commander anymore. So he just was a Peter pilot for the rest of the tour and then got out as soon as he possibly could of the Army. He wanted nothing more to do with it. So, not me, I would have loved to have been able to stay here.
Yeah. You were going to do like 20 years?
Oh yeah, I would. Well, I wanted to, when my tour was up in '69, October, I was hoping to come back, go to Mesa College for a couple of years, bootstrap, and then go back in as a real live officer so I could retire as a major or a lieutenant colonel. I didn't care at that time. Or even stay in and retire as a CW5, but I wanted some college behind me before I went back in.
Yeah, yeah. So on this patch, what is the company A? On your patch, it says A501.
Oh, we were A501 of the first.
But is that Company A? Is that like Company A?
It's company,
501 of the...
but we didn't get named the 71st until afterwards. So
Okay.
when we were in the States, we were the A501st.
Okay. Yeah. That's the same as over here.
That's correct.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, I love this picture. I'm not sure if Margot sent me that or not. It seems like she did, but I think she did.
When I was at Fort Devens, Massachusetts, we got to messing around with photography and how you develop the film and stuff.
Right.
And then how we made that was you take that deal and you take a piece of paper and you rip out a portion of it to give
that effect.
right.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, that's very
I forgot everything I learned up there about developing film and stuff. It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed doing that.
Yeah, I'm a photographer too. Is that the hat that's in the closet that when you're wearing there?
No.
Okay, that's it.
No, that's an enlisted man's.
Okay. Okay. Well, I want to take a picture of us, okay? And then could we go outside and get a picture by your shed too before we leave? Okay.
Sure.
I'm gonna set this up here. I can do a little timer on here and we can get a shot here. So I'm just gonna I'll set my timer and then I'll come stand over next to you there and take a couple of pictures. So I always take a picture of me and my bedroom. So I always got that. I always got that. So I'll tell you when to smile, okay? But we'll just kind of look at that part right there. Okay, here we go. This will be our retake here. We're going to look right in that iPhone there. Okay, here we go. Oh my goodness, Bill. I don't know if we can get any better than this.
Oh man.
That came out good, didn't it?
Yeah.
I like that better than the first one.
You do?
Yeah, I like that one. It came out good.
Yeah.
That's us.
That's pretty good of us. I think I better.
Take your cane with you, yeah. We'll go out there and we'll get a shot out there. Okay. Oh, we got some wind today.
Oh yeah.
It's supposed to be windy for the next couple of days.
Yeah, that's what they say. But I got my lawn mowed yesterday.
You got a riding lawnmower?
Yes.
Yeah. So we can go over there to the shed?
Sure.
And where did you get those? Did Margot get those helicopters for you or what?
No. A friend of mine that
Yeah.
I did his tax returns for.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, see, that's
Oh,
the
yeah.
helicopter that she bought for me.
I like that.
This over here, the small one was painted. A guy I met at Dos Hombres,
Oh, really?
probably 20 years ago. Made that up for me, and we didn't see each other. I met him again there, and he says, "Well, I got a helicopter for you." I gave him my address. He dropped it off one day. I never seen him again. Now you know where the KOA campground is over here by
Yeah.
28 Road?
Yeah?
Well, just this side of that KOA campground, there's a guy that's got a bunch of different pictures, bears, and
Oh, yeah, yeah.
he did these.
Oh, okay. Is that wood? Made
Yeah.
out of wood?
Yeah,
Cool.
that's plywood.
Okay. That is so cool. Oh, man.
He came out, put them up and everything,
Fantastic.
free of charge.
Just go stand right about there, and I'm going to come over there and join you for a picture. Before we take a picture, I want to shake your hand. I want to thank you for your service.
Thank you.
During Vietnam. And it's an honor to meet you, sir. And maybe someday we'll fly together in a helicopter in heaven or something. I don't know. But it's been a pleasure to meet you, Bill.
Thank you.
And to interview, get your story, and God bless you.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll do a picture now.
This is my side-by-side.
Okay,
Got U.S. Army retired.
man.
I was in Benoit, July, 71st, actual wings. So,
You get to ride this a lot?
well, not as much as we'd like to, but we try a lot.
Yeah.
We've only had it out once this year so far. We're going to go again Tuesday. We're going to try back up in here. So,
You
see
got
what
it.
happens.
Yeah. Okay. Be safe with that, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That's great. Well, you got it covered, man. Right on. That is a huge lawn. You take care of it yourself?
Well, I don't do the spreading of materials. I
Yeah.
leave that to WD yards.
Yeah.
but I do the mowing.
Beautiful. Beautiful. All righty.
Well, it's looking a lot greener.
Vietnam helicopter pilot. God bless you, Bill.